Hello and welcome to Aha Moments. This one is entitled Paid on Performance. I kept changing that title, so I had to remember Paid on Performance. Paid on Performance. That's it. So welcome to Aha Moments. If you got your Aha Moment Monday and you came on just to expand on the conversation, I'm glad you did, because I always try and keep the Aha Moments inside around 60 seconds or 70 seconds so that they're quick read, quick listen. However, sometimes, it's a big topic that is tough to distill. So if you receive the Aha Moments and you're on here to expand in the conversation, then I look forward to that expansion today. If you just happen to stumble on Aha Moments, you said, what the heck is this? Well, you've had Aha Moments, right? You've had those little glimpses, those little flashes of light that just make you shift and do things in a different way. That's what this is all about. But specifically on ones that I write that are released every Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern. So it's an aha moment, an everyday situation that you probably have experienced yourself, or something that you would have witnessed, but I just take a little bit of a twist with it to get you thinking in a new direction. And the concept being with an aha moment is that it gets you doing things in a different way, which is how we grow, right? I say we grow one aha moment at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read that aha moment that was released on March 4th. And then we'll just have a little bit of a talk about it. And if you have any comments or questions, and by all means, send them along to me at my email address is j@ahumanapproach.com. And if you want to subscribe to the list so that you get your own aha moment every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, then go on to ahamoments.com and register. Okay, so here we go. Here is Paid on Performance. Have you ever started, ran, or worked a small business? Small business is not for everyone. Small business owners and employees often wear many hats. Their functions aren't always clear-cut. There's no assumed salary increase because they are more susceptible to economic swings. Their hours are less defined, and with fewer people to cover all tasks, there's nowhere to hide. The upside of small business is the encouragement for everyone to flex their entrepreneurial muscles, ability to make decisions quickly, change direction on a dime, and that precedent is always within reach. Small business owners are often far more demonstrative of appreciation, too. There's a significant contrast in working in big business, institutions, or government organization. The disadvantages may be it's more of a competitive environment, likely less personal, and often more red tape. The advantages, however, are significant, offering better compensation than small businesses, benefit programs, mental health days, someone to cover your position when you're not there, beefy pensions, and if you're union, job security. The federal government workers in Canada's capital, loved lockdown in 2020 and beyond. They got to work from home on full salary and benefits, escaped much of the protocol with no danger of job loss, and there were no shareholders or customers to hold them accountable. Many confessed working only half days at best because they could. Small business owners told a very different story during that time period. In the end, who comes out ahead? Do we teach our kids to give the least amount of effort and get away with as much as the system will allow? Is your resume what they see or what you know? Aha. Act as though you are paid on performance. Could you imagine a society where teachers were compensated based on their students' accomplishment, self-love, and confidence? A society where police were paid in direct proportion to the safety of their community? Where a local politician would receive pay for the months they delivered on a thriving community and balanced budget? What about entertainers, aka professional athletes, being paid relative to their execution versus crowd draw? And a doctor's remuneration measured by the health of his patients? Okay, so those KPIs might be a bit tough to establish. I mean, you can't take total responsibility for another's effort, only influence it. But it makes for excellent conversation, doesn't it? I had a few jobs with a big brand behind me. It was great fun and tremendous learning environment. However, I gated up to build my own. To me, there's nothing more character building, in other words, humbling, than running a small venture, even if it's a side hustle or not for profit. It teaches accountability, responsibility, creativity, and many other idiots that set up one to be resilient, independent, and self-reliant. Nobody stumbles onto something great while sitting down. So what do you think of that? I know that that as I was writing it, I thought, I want to be really clear, and I didn't say this in the prose, but I'm going to say it now. I want to be clear that, there are people with a high sense of values and a good work ethic in every avenue, in small business and big business, whatever. I'm not suggesting it in the least that you need to be in a small business to be a responsible individual, because big businesses would not run if that was the case, right? I think I know the difference, and I've never worked for a government organization, but I have lived with people who do, and they're in the family, whatever. So I mean, I'm certainly familiar to what union work is like, and the difference. And I know, being an entrepreneur since I started my business when I was 23, that being self-reliant, but also, the buck stops here, right? And so everything that happens in the company happens through the small business, through the business leaders, and you're weathering a lot without sort of that cushion of the government behind you, or having that big brand or that big whatever, behind you. And having that big brand often, is something that opens doors. It has clout, it has more negotiation power. You have a bigger family, you have more opportunities often, for growth inside of a big business. And when I mentioned, about what happened with the government, I mean, I was reading something the other day when they were talking about the millions and millions of dollars every day that were pumped into that little core area that's called Capital. And with all the government workers, when the offices were shut down, the people were working from home, and anybody who tried to get responses and tried to get services done were very well aware, like the citizens of Canada were very well aware of the long lineups everywhere, the long delays, what it took to get people. So it was not business as usual. People were obviously not coming to the table the way they normally would, in the level of service that we normally expect. In a small business, as I said, they told a very different story during that time, because small businesses are scrambling. They didn't have the big brand. They didn't have the support. Yeah, maybe the government gave them some financial handouts, but they weren't freebies. They had to pay them back, which a lot of people now are struggling to do, because there just weren't it wasn't a matter of just that automatic paycheck coming, right? And so I think, especially in the case of the government, with the people who work for the government, and I'm not saying that their positions, especially teachers and firefighters and police officers and other facets of the government, I'm not saying their position was easy during that time. It certainly wasn't. Everybody paid a bit of a price. But I think the difference of having the security, of having the big company, the anybody who works for the government, it's not like private enterprise, where they have to compete and they have to go after business. I mean, the government is established, and the salaries are guaranteed, unless you're a criminal, chances are you're not going to get fired, right? So, and you've got the union to support you and everything. And if you need a mental health day, or you need a bit of time off, or you want to retire early, that there's something there for you. Small business, it's a completely different animal. I mean, every day you wake up and you go, okay, how am I going to survive today? And it's a very different mindset, and different people that that tend to go into small business. When you have the during that lockdown, and the time where people were literally fighting for their lives, that was a very difficult time. Small business also has the benefit of, when there is an upswing and when things are going well, then they get to keep all that profits, right? So in other words, it's not like they're on a steady paycheck necessarily. So good things and bad things, right? Good things and bad things. So I'm just saying that there are absolutely good people in both avenues. But I do find, from having been on both sides of the fence, having worked for some big brands, and seeing, and I worked hard. I was one of those people that, that I worked like I was paid on performance. In some cases I was, so, that I liked the extra compensation when I could get my extra bonuses or commissions or something. So that was cool for me. But, in the AHA, I just said, it's not like, we don't teach our kids to, do as little as you can and try and cheat the system. I mean, that's just not the lessons that we give our kids, right? So I think at the end of the day, if we looked at, I thought it was really interesting. As I was kind of brainstorming when I was writing, and I was thinking about, what I have to admit, especially in our local environment during lockdown, I was writing to our politicians in our chamber, and that, to share with them some of the tragedies that were happening and help them understand that, we don't need to go through this. Like, we need to see this clearly as to what it is and stop squashing people and giving them handouts. Like, small businesses, they want to get back to work. So let's help them get back to work, right? And the politicians and, those that had the sort of that government payment or government sponsor payment, they didn't, I don't want to say, can I say they didn't care? I don't know if they cared or not, but it didn't matter to them because they were getting paid. And so they couldn't feel for the small business that said, I don't want to hand out. I don't want to get locked down. I want to keep going. And when a lot of people at that time are well aware that we were not in jeopardy, from a health standpoint, that they wanted to get back out there and they weren't allowed to. So that is the difference, right? Is that, you don't have sort of that security behind you, and that if you make a bad decision, it's not the end of the world, you're still going to get paid. Where in a small business, you make a bad decision, you're not going to get paid. That's just the way it is. So anyway, I wanted to, give a little shout out to the small businesses out there who withstood the test of time. And as I record this, it is anniversary number 44 for our company, and kind of an odd number. I don't know why I've gone out to make a celebration, but we are having a bit of a celebration on March 14th. So if you hear this recording before March 14th, if you go on humanapproach.com or, get on our subscriber list, then you can get an invitation to that online party. And we're going to have some great gifts that we're going to be giving out, and talking about the Human Approach membership a little bit more. So get that, and also get your book, 50 Simple Ways to Release the Shackles of Self-Sabotage. That gets you 1 month free into Human You, which is the membership, and which is only $11.11 a month going forward, and lots of content, lots of engagement, lots of fun in there. So anyway, I hope you're having a wonderful week, a wonderful day. Thanks for popping by. And as always, succeed deliberately.